Welcome back to episode 14 of Betting the House. As always, we are live on the Alithio Network. Don't forget to check out the network's other shows like Chicago Hockey Radio, Good Morning Hockey, Let's Cool One, and Not From Chicago But Close Enough. Like always, I'm going to run us through the sports we're covering today. Some football, starting and ending with football. And in between, we've got a little bit of basketball and hockey for you guys. Before we get into the recap, let's hit it with a gambling warning. The following content may discuss topics related to gambling. Gambling can be addictive and is not suitable for all individuals. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, help is available. In the U.S., contact the National Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-522-4700 or visit www.ncpgambling.org for resources and support. Illinois residents can also contact 1-800-426-2537 for local assistance. Please gamble responsibly and be aware of the risks involved. Must be 21 years or older if gambling in Illinois. All right. Without further ado, let's get into the recap of our Tuesday's bets. Let's start off with basketball and over in the NBA. First bet I had was Magic plus 6.5 spread. They ended up losing by 7, which definitely stung last night. Final score, Pacers win 118-111. Knicks Hawks under 225.5. Again, all of these NBA games were last night. Again, that one did not hit. I think it was about 30 seconds left when they hit the 226th point. So I just kind of shut it off after that. But anyways, final score. Excuse me. The Hawks win 121-116. My one bet that did hit that yesterday night, Golden State Warriors plus 7.5 spread at minus 110 odds. They actually ended up winning against the Celtics 118-112. And final NBA game I took a little chance on was OKC hitting their spread of minus 4.5. They actually ended up losing by 2 to the Nuggets. Final score 124-122. So not looking good at that point. Moving over into college football, missed both of these FYI. Bowling Green minus 12.5. They only won by 10. They needed 3 more. Bowling Green wins. Final score 23-13 FML. Second game that didn't hit Tuesday night was Miami, Ohio against Ball State. I took the over, which was 48.5. Final score 27-21. 48 points total. I needed 1 more. Frustrating. But after that, though, moving over to NHL, all of these hit. Leafs money line minus 150. They won 4-0. Carolina money line minus 175. Hurricanes won 6-4. Jets minus 1.5 at plus 125 odds. The Jets ended up winning 3-0, so that hit. And then my one and only men's basketball game from Tuesday that I talked about was UC Davis hitting their spread of plus 14.5. They actually did. They covered it by 8 points. They still lost by 6, but they covered their 14.5 point spread. Washington wins 79-73. That means my Tuesday record was 5-5, 500 exactly, which means my new overall record is 80 wins and 71 losses. Without further ado, I guess let's push it into tonight and this upcoming weekend. Let's start with some football. Bengals Ravens in Baltimore tonight, 7:15. I'm looking and leaning heavily towards the Cincinnati plus 6.5 spread at minus 120 odds. Cincinnati's been strong, very, very, very strong late in the season with Joe Burrow. They're 12-4 after week 10 going forward in recent years. Burrow, still a clutch player. Jackson, on the other hand, he powers that Baltimore top-ranked run game right now. 20 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 505 rushing yards. One thing I did want to note, however, was this is Baltimore's 4th game in 17 days. And divisional games are a whole lot of the time they're pretty close. And with their season on the line, I think the Bengals and Burrow could potentially exploit this Ravens defense. That's why I'm leaning heavily towards Cincinnati plus 6.5 spread, minus 120 odds. First game, Sunday morning, back in Germany, outside of the US, in Munich. Giants take on the Panthers. I'm kind of leaning towards Tyrone Tracy Jr. having over 65.5 rushing yards. That's minus 114 odds. Although I'm not going to really talk about that. I am going to talk about 3 of the 7 noon games here. First one, Falcons Saints. I'm looking to take the over, which is set at 46.5 total points, minus 110 odds. You know, Kirk Cousins, after a pretty slow start, he has this offense firing in Atlanta. You know, 30 points plus in 3 of their last 5 games. Mooney, 41 receptions, 588 yards, 5 touchdowns. Can definitely step up if London is out. And the Robinson Algier duo is definitely strong against a very weak New Orleans defense. While injuries are definitely affecting both of these teams, I think Derek Carr's return for the Saints offers some hope against Atlanta's poor pass rush. That's why I'm kind of leaning towards the over in that one. Second game, noon again. Pittsburgh taking on Washington in Washington. Steelers fresh off of a bye. Top 10 defense in EPA allowed per play. Commanders 7-2 straight up. But they've largely faced, and a lot of the time, they face these pretty weak defenses, you know, with Chicago holding them to just 18 points. You know, Russell Wilson, since he's starting, Steelers offense has thrived, you know, now faces Washington's poor defense. Also, I wanted to note that I saw this statistic that Mike Tomlin excels as the underdog. He actually covers 64% of all the games in his career as the underdog. So I thought that was pretty amazing. That's why I'm doing Pittsburgh plus 2.5 at minus 102 odds. Sorry, I should have said that at the beginning. I apologize. Third game I wanted to talk about at noon, 49ers Buccaneers. I'm looking to take the San Francisco minus 5.5 spread at minus 118 odds. Niners coming off a bye, and they're expected to look as healthy as they should have week 1. You know, Debo, CMC, Jennings are all potentially coming back, and huge rest time, obviously, for all of them. Definitely edges them over Tampa team on a very short week and ripe for a letdown after letting the Chiefs, Monday night overtime win. Yeah, that's why I like SF under 5. Or I'm sorry, 5 or more. 4 other games going on at noon. Bucks, Colts, Vikings, Jags, Broncos, Chiefs, Patriots, Bears. Got a couple spreads and one over for you. Think to take Indianapolis's plus 4.5 spread, possibly at minus 110 odds. Jacksonville's plus 4.5 spread at minus 110 odds. Broncos, Chiefs, I think I didn't really like the spread. I think it was set at, I want to say 8.5, 9.5 when I looked yesterday / this morning. I think I liked the over, which was 41.5 at minus 108 odds better. And then that Patriots Bears game, I think New England keeps it within a touchdown. Minus 110 odds for a plus 6.5 spread. 3 games at 3 p.m. Titans Chargers. I'm thinking that is under, which is set at 38.5 at minus 110 odds. Eagles Cowboys over 41.5 total, minus 115 odds. And then the 3 p.m. game I did want to talk just a little bit about is Jets Cardinals. I'm actually really considering this Arizona plus 1.5 spread at minus 120. You know, they've been on this huge win streak. They're averaging over 6 yards per play. They're ranked 8th in EPA per snap since week 7. Their offense is definitely finding that balance and rhythm with that strong ground game. Harrison Jr. and McBride definitely leading the pass attack, and then obviously Murray's mobility. On the other hand, the Jets, coming off that very, very close win over the Texans, still have their own issues. 27th in EPA per handoff, 106 yards to Joe Mixon, despite their limited offense over there in Houston. Yeah, I like the Arizona in this one. 7 p.m. game, one game, Lions, Texans. I I don't know. I could go either way with this one, but I kind of like the Houston plus 3.5 spread at minus 110 odds. The Lions look really good. They just won in Green Bay against Green Bay, obviously. Um, but this week definitely looks like a good spot for the Texans too. Despite what recently their struggles, they still lead the AFC South. They've had 10 days of rest and have had plenty of time to work on their O-line issues. On the other hand, with Detroit missing their star rusher Hutchinson, I don't know. It looks kind of promising taking the Texans at home with over 3 points. And then the final game is Monday Night Football, 7:15, Dolphins Rams. Over 49.5 is what I was thinking about at minus 110 odds. Mike McDaniel, he's always had this amazing offensive success against the Rams, especially with the 49ers. And he's coming off his best play calling game of the season. They racked up 373 yards, 26 first downs last week. Definitely very, very crucial for their playoff push. The Rams, on the other hand, they're thriving. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua is back. Both of them are back. They scored 56 points over the last 2 games. I think this matchup is definitely set in an offensive shootout, making this over 49.5 look very good to me. Raven, any thoughts about some of those? Or one of the ones I maybe didn't talk about?
No, I have been trying to do more research into the football.
Yeah.
Arizona minus 1.5. I mean, it's not a COD double XP weekend, so could be good for whatever my fantasy quarterback is on that team, Kyler Murray. Could be a good game for him. He's got something to prove. Houston, they've been really, really hot. Yeah, that's all I got.
All right. Well, then let's move over into some basketball. 3 games tonight. They're all actually at 7 p.m. You've got Timberwolves Bulls, Jazz Bucks, and Trailblazers Spurs. 13 games tomorrow, but there are unfortunately no lines set for those. So I'll talk about those in just a little bit. The 2 games I did want to talk about, though, tonight are the Timberwolves Bulls, obviously, because we're in Chicago. I kind of liked this Chicago plus 6.5 spread at minus 110. Minnesota, despite their high expectations at the start of the season, they're off to a very slow start with their 4-3 record. Randall leads in assists, and Reed's scoring has improved, kind of making Cat a little expendable. The Bulls, on the other hand, now under 500, lost their last 2, but have that strong trio of 20-point scorers and Josh Giddey's solid play. Minnesota's defense isn't elite, so I think Chicago should keep it pretty close at home. Second/last game I want to talk about, Jazz Bucks, 7 p.m. I was kind of looking at the over, which is set at 229.5 right now, at minus 110 odds. They're both struggling right now. Combined 12 losses in the first 14 games. They meet tonight. Utah's kind of focusing on their younger player development. They just got their first win against Chicago with, excuse me, Markkanen being questionable. Milwaukee, 6-game skid after winning their first game. Giannis is expected to be back, but he's kind of remained inconsistent a little bit. With both teams in top 10 for pace and Milwaukee's weak defense, I think this over is a pretty solid play. Raven, any thoughts on tonight's games?
The Bucks don't win. I'm burning my jerseys.
Yeah. Yeah. Excuse me. Like I said, 13 games on Friday tomorrow. Um, 3 at 6, Pacers, Hornets, Hawks, Pistons, Pelicans, Magic. 4 at 6:30, Warriors, Cavs, Bucks, Knicks, Nets, Celtics, Suns, Mavs. 2 at 7, Wizards, Grizzlies, Rockets, Thunder. 2 at 8, Trailblazers, Timberwolves, Heat, Nuggets. And then 2 to finish it off at 9, 76ers, Lakers, and Clippers, Kings. Um, yeah, that's all I've really got to say about the NBA. Um, yeah, I leave Friday up to you guys to enjoy the games, and kind of bet. Just look at the spreads and bet however you feel. Um, yeah, let's move into the NHL then, I guess. 6 p.m. games tonight. We've got Flames, Bruins, Islanders, Senators, Canadians, Devils. Look to take the over 5.5 in the Flames, Bruins, which is -130 odds. The over 5.5 in the Islanders Senators game, which is -135 odds. Look at the Devils spread possibly for the Canadians Devils game, which is set at -1.5 points at -125 odds. The 3 games I did want to talk about: Predators Panthers. I have Florida money line at -120. The Predators have been struggling. They're 4-5-1 in their last 10 games, and they're definitely facing a very hot Florida Panthers team riding a 5-game winning streak. Florida dominated the Stars in Finland. They're coming home with strong depth across all their lines, I think. Barkov, Reinhardt are on fire. I think the Panthers are set to continue this dominance going forward, especially against a kind of inconsistent Predators team. I kind of expect Florida to keep it rolling on home ice. Second game, Sabres, Rangers. I kind of was enticed and looking heavily at the Rangers spread of -1.5 points at +125. The Sabres face the Rangers, obviously, in their first of 3 matchups this season tonight. The Rangers, they're at 8-2-1. They're so stacked, and they boast the NHL's top goals against average and 5th best goals per game average. They're at home, so I think they dominate in this to stay competitive in a tough division, to be honest. Last 6 p.m. game, Penguins, Hurricanes, over 6.5 at -105 odds. Definitely got me going, to be honest. The Penguins, they're 2-4-2 on the road. Defensively struggling, I would say, but they're definitely scoring well. The Hurricanes, on the other hand, they're very strong at home this year. 5.5 goals average in the last 4 games. Both have amazing offenses, and Carolina's penalties. I think the over is a good bet here. 6:30 game, Flyers, Lightning tonight. The Lightning -1.5 point spread at +125 odds looks pretty interesting to me. 3 games, 7 p.m. tonight. We've got our very own Chicago Blackhawks taking on the Stars in Dallas. To be honest, I like the over, which was 6.5. I know it's a pretty big over, but +105 odds kind of makes me feel a little better about it. Utah Hockey Club taking on the Blues in St. Louis. I also had the over. All 3 of these 7 p.m. games I have the over in. 5.5 is what it's set at for the Hockey Club Blues game tonight. -125 odds. Yeah, they just look interesting. I think it's gonna be a high scoring game. Last one, Avs Jets, over 6.5, -115 odds. Another high scoring game. And last 2 games for tonight in hockey, Canucks Kings with the LA Kings money line is what I was looking at and thinking about watching later tonight. -105 odds. The Canucks are on a perfect California road trip right now. But they're definitely have a tough test tonight against the Red Hot Kings. 3-0-1 since the loss to San Jose. While Vancouver's got these recent wins, but they kind of come against weaker teams, the Kings' momentum and deep roster definitely give them the edge, I think. I'm leaning towards Los Angeles money line. Last game of the night, Wild Sharks. Wild minus 1.5 point spread at minus 105 odds is kind of how I'm looking at the way to go. 4 games tomorrow. No lines been set for them, so I'll just rattle them off here quickly for you guys. Red Wings, Leafs, 6 p.m. Penguins, Capitals, 6:30 p.m. Wild, Ducks, 9 p.m. Golden Knights, Kraken, 9 p.m. Any predictions on any of those games, Raymond?
Hockey's hard.
Yeah, no, it's very hard.
For football, will you just go from the last game you have, the Arizona, and then go back just for the graphics sake? Because otherwise I would have to switch back and forth.
I'm sorry. What?
Can you start for college football at Arizona State?
Oh. Yeah, like just go to Saturday?
Yeah, just start from the start from the last pick you gave me and work up.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. So I guess we're going to start with Saturday. The 2 games I have on Saturday for college football. Central Florida takes on Arizona State, I believe at 2:30 p.m. ASU spread of -3 looked pretty good to me. Minus 110 odds. They've been exceeding expectations. Arizona in the Big 12, they're 6-2. While UCF, on the other hand, despite their last week win, has kind of been underperforming. They've been struggling, often losing or being blown out, even when they've been favored. Arizona State's defense, they're 27th ranked in rushing yards allowed. Definitely, probably, likely to frustrate UCF's strong ground game tonight, Saturday. I'm sorry, I mixed up the date again. With a gritty QB and a solid quarterback, running back, Arizona State, I think, takes it at home. That's why I have them covering by a field goal. Georgia Ole Miss, 2:30 also. To be honest, I think this one was the most questionable, I think, of mine, but it also makes a little bit of sense, I think. Under 55.5 at minus 110 odds. Georgia's been kind of sloppy a couple times this season, struggling in those wins over Florida and Kentucky, while Ole Miss kind of boasts one of the nation's best defenses. If their defensive line can pressure back, turnovers are likely. Georgia's defense still top 10 in key matrix, but they face a very potent and powerful Ole Miss offense. Even though they themselves struggled against Kentucky defense. With both teams kind of being this caution and towing the line early on, I think this under 55 is a pretty solid bet in my opinion. I'm good to move over to the tonight's games right now. Right, yeah?
Yes.
Cool. The 2 last games I have for you guys are Appalachia State, Coastal Carolina. They're both tonight. They're both at 7. Sorry, I should have started with that. Appalachia State, Coastal Carolina, over 62.5 at minus 110 odds. Excuse me. Appalachia State enters the game with back-to-back wins, but definitely has been struggling on the road. They're 1-3. Carolina, on the other hand, lost 3 straight. 1-5 against the spread in the last 6. At home, they're 2-2 against the spread, but coming off a very frustrating 34-24 loss to Louisiana. Both teams have pretty weak defenses, so I'm kind of expecting a high-scoring game there. And then the last game I wanted to talk about, again, Thursday, 7 p.m., was FAU East Carolina, which was over 57.5 at minus 110 odds. FAU needs to win out for bowl eligibility, especially after coming off that 44-21 loss to South Florida. Their defense has allowed 38 points in the last 3 games, making the over for them a consistent bet. East Carolina, on the other hand, won 56-34 last week against Temple, scoring 24 plus points in 5 straight games, though their defense has kind of been struggling also. With both of the team's defenses struggling with their own stuff, I definitely have the over, and I like it, and I think it's the strongest play in my opinion. 57.5 at minus 110 odds. Raven, do you have anything to say about those 4 or any other ones you are interested in tonight or over the weekend, I guess?
Any of those over games, honestly.
Yeah.
The UGA under it's a weird one just because they are playing a ranked opponent finally, but that one could go either way.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just didn't want to have only overs for everything. I wanted to mix it up a little bit, get a little frisky. All right, well, shit. That's all I've got for you guys today. Don't forget to tune in for more next Tuesday, 11 a.m. on the Alithio Network YouTube page. Also, check out Alithio's other shows like Chicago Hockey Radio, Let's Cool One, Good Morning Hockey, Not From Chicago But Close Enough. They're available everywhere. Audio for Betting the House will be available shortly after this live ends. Don't forget to like, subscribe on YouTube, or smash the 5-star ratings and follow on Spotify and Apple Pods. Have a good weekend, you guys. Let's talk more Tuesday. Peace.